Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Pop Culture News here on The Experience. We have quite a bit of stuff to cover, so let's just dive right in, all right? Now, the Vision series seems to be kind of heating up as the Hollywood Reporter is saying that Picard actor Todd Stashwick is joining the cast. Now, Stashwick recently played Captain Liam Shaw in the third season of Picard, where he worked with writer Terry Matalas, who will be the showrunner of the Vision. So that makes a lot of sense. It's all about who you know, right? The series has been rumored since the end of WandaVision and is expected to finally tell viewers what happened to the rebuilt all-white version of the Vision that we last saw in the season finale, having a philosophical debate about the ship of Theseus. Now, word is that Stashwick will play an assassin who is hunting the Vision for his technology. And we could probably all scan through the Marvel Universe handbook and figure out who he might be. My initial guess for some reason is Dominic Fortune. But anyway, Paul Bettany will be returning as the titular android, while it's also been reported that James Spader will return as Ultron, who we last saw in Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, both in the comics and in the MCU, Ultron is credited for building the Vision, but in the comics, he's imprinted with the brainwaves of Simon Williams, Wonder Man. And while we haven't been introduced to Wonder Man yet, he will be in an upcoming TV series. But in the films, it's Tony Stark's AI Jarvis that was uploaded into the vibranium body. Now, got to keep in mind, though, this series has not been officially announced yet. So these rumors are all coming from very good sources like Variety and the Hollywood Reporter, stuff like that. But again, it's not official. Moving on, with the Penguin debuting on September 19th, there's more and more information about the series has been coming out. Now, just last week, we learned the titles of and episode lengths for the first 4 episodes, and now we're getting the final 4. Keep in mind that one of the big complaints about the MCU series have been the short episode runs, and this probably won't be a big complaint here. Episode 1, which picks up right after the events of the Batman, will be called After Hours and runs an hour and 7 minutes. Episode 2, Inside Man, runs 56 minutes. Episode 3, Bliss, runs 59 minutes. And episode 4, Cent'Anni, runs 58 minutes. And those for those of you who are curious, Cent'Anni is an Italian toast that wishes health and happiness for 100 years. Now, the episodes we just learned about now are episode 5, Homecoming, which runs 54 minutes. Episode 6, Gold Summit, which runs 52 minutes. Episode 7, Top Hat, which is the shortest episode at just coming in just 46 minutes. And then the season finale, Greater Little Thing, with an hour and 8-minute runtime. So that's the longest episode. And while I could try to read into each title, trying to figure out what it means, the one that jumps out at me, of course, is Top Hat, perhaps a nod to the character's penchant for wearing top hats in the comics, along with his tuxedo and carrying his umbrella. All right, moving on. Marvel Studios is getting a bit stylish with their new trailers for Agatha All Along. The quick clip that was dropped was done in a 1960s, 70s horror style, reminiscent of stuff like Night of the Living Dead. They give the same look to the film and even work in little title puns that were kind of standard for the trailers of that era. In an interview with the Hollywood Reporter, actor Joe Locke, who will be playing Teen in the series, addresses having to keep a secret of his character and perhaps why rumors and spoilers are bad. Locke said, "One of the things I love about Marvel is you keep all these secrets that are really frustrating at first, especially when you're doing things like this press every day. But the reason you keep them is because if you were to tell them, then it wouldn't have the same effect when it all comes out. The secrets are secrets for a reason, and Teen's backstory is an interesting one. If I was able to talk about it now, I would ruin the whole point of the show. And that is what keeps me from being able to keep a secret. Otherwise, I'd just tell you everything." All right, moving on. The upcoming film, The Killer's Game, includes a reunion of 2 of the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. Dave Bautista and Palm Clementif both appear in the new film, and the former wrestler turned actor was talking to comicbook.com about the possibility of working with other Guardian actors, possibly over with James Gunn at DC Studios. He said, I hope so, yeah. That's kind of my goal. I really want. But I've done other projects outside of Guardians with Karen Gillian, and I've done with Palm now. I would like to work with Chris and Zoe outside of the Marvel Universe as well. Now, Batista has made it clear that he's open to working in DC as well. He says, I guess it has to be the right part, but I'm very open to it, and I love James, and I would do anything to work with him again. Batista and Gillian appeared together, if you're curious, in the 2019 film Stuber, along with another MCU alum, Kamal Najani. Okay, what else we got? We got the switch from network television to streaming has been kind of hitting a rough patch, with audiences complaining about series being either canceled too quickly or too long between seasons. So some folks are actually turning back to the longer, more stable network shows, when you're going to get 22 episodes in the season or whatever it is. These shows are kind of building back up again. And that was part of the reason why actor Zachary Quinto decided to sign on for the upcoming NBC medical procedural series Brilliant Minds. Now, the former heroes and Star Trek star told Entertainment Weekly, the conversations around network versus streaming has shifted, and the industry has experienced a return to a type of television that had departed pretty significantly from. There's something about the reliability of network procedurals. Audiences are more interested in appointment television than they were for a little while. We can see the evidence of this in the shift in thinking with the fact that network television still takes up about 50% of TV consumption annually. And you look at the streaming charts, they're filled with network shows being rewatched on streaming, like Suits and The Office and How I Met Your Mother. Audiences are straying away from these new quirky 8 to 10 episode shows and spending time with longer multiple seasons shows that they know exactly how many episodes they're going to get. It's like going on to Netflix and deciding, well, I could watch The Dead Boy Detectives, but I've already heard that's canceled and it's only one season, or I could watch 6 seasons of White Collar. I've already seen Dead Boy Detectives, but I'm watching White Collar. Moving on. Do you guys remember the title changes for Agatha Harkness led series? You know how they were going with, it's going to be Agatha House of Harkness, Agatha Coven of Chaos, Agatha Darkhold Diaries, and then eventually Agatha All Along. Now, and I might have missed a few, by the way. So where did this idea come from, changing the titles? Well, senior executive producer Mary Livanos told The Hollywood Reporter, hats off to Jack Schaefer on that one, and our incredible writer's room with the best day of brainstorming I think we ever had, figuring out all those titles. It was a real blast to release crazier and crazier ones as the production went on. And our cast was so game, too. The nature of the stunt felt very Agatha, very Liar. So it felt very on theme, and it was fun to do. Now, Livanos worked with Jack Schaefer on WandaVision and now on Agatha All Along, while she was willing to reveal that part, any information on the fate of Wanda herself, she's kind of keeping secret. She said, well, I can tell you that Agatha has been trapped in Wanda's distorted spell. And of course, after the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Wanda was taken off the table. So I think fans will have to tune in to find out more. That's all I can say. Casting news. Brendan Gleeson has just signed on to Spider Noir. Seems that they're dropping the man part in the new series, opposite of Nicolas Cage. Now, the upcoming live-action series for Prime Video, which focuses on the Marvel character Spider-Man Noir, that Cage first voiced in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, well, it's going to tell the story of an aging and down-on-his-luck private investigator in 1930s New York who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. Now, Gleason is believed to be playing a mob boss and will join a cast that also includes Lamorne Morris, Lee Jun Lee, and Abraham Papula. Gleason was a 2023 Oscar nominee for Banshees of Inisherin and will be in the upcoming Joker Folie à Deux. Great. I'm having to say Celtic and French in one sentence. Columbia Pictures' Venom: The Last Dance is basically going to get a day and date release in China. Now, it's going to release October 23rd in China, where it's going to release October 25th here in the States. But this is good for the movie. The first Venom movie in 2018 received a total gross from China of $270 million, unadjusted for inflation, of course. Now, the first Tom Hardy movie repping just over a third of Marvel's $856 million global gross. So China made up a third of it. Now, 2021's Venom: Let There Be Carnage, which made just over $500 million around the globe, did not have a Chinese release. So a third of what made the first one successful was not available to Let There Be Carnage. So even though it was like 580 million, you could assume that it would have gotten closer to the numbers of the first one had there been a Chinese release. So the third one's going to get one, which is a good sign. And just a quick note, over the weekend, Vincent D'Onofrio was at a convention and was asked if there were any DC comic characters he would want to play. Now, he said growing up that the comics he read were like Spider-Man, Batman, Swamp Thing. He'd like to play Swamp Thing. And we happen to know that there is a Swamp Thing movie in the works being directed by James Mangold. So maybe we can get the two of them together. Okay, folks, that's the news. Remember, stick around for a minute to skim it, Mint Hunter, and Kicking It with Henry. Only here on The Experience. I want you to have a great day. Stay cool.